the new church, 50-year-old church now, in 1958. We're glad that you come. Please sign the friendship folder that's in HQ and pass it to your neighbors so we can know of your presence with us here this morning. Today, during worship, following the children's moment, there will be activity time for the kids. John and Beth Dawson are hosting activity time. They'll meet the kids outside the front door and travel across the street to the park. Parents, you can pick up your kids in the park when you go over for lunch, which will be immediately following worship today. Hosted by the fellowship committee. Free will offering will be taken. We hope you'll stick around for that. I hope you went to the bathroom before church today. If you are in need of restroom facilities, there is a portable toilet outside the building, around the side, on the north side. Also, following the church service at 11 o'clock or so, the restrooms at the Masonic Lodge across the street will also be open. You may use those during the picnic as well today. Our thanks to the choir for coming out of its summer recess to lead us in music this morning. We appreciate that very much. No hymnals are needed today. Not that they didn't have hymnals in 1958. But it was easier just to print the words of the hymns in your bulletin today, so please consult your bulletin as we sing together. In 1850, by the way, you got to listen carefully today. No sound system. So, listen up. In 1850, Reverend Edmund McKinney and several other Presbyterians met in the Omaha and Otoe Indian Mission Building on the eastern edge of Bellevue to create the first permanent church in the state of Nebraska. Soon the Native Americans moved to reservations and their mission building became a hotel. A new minister later came, the Reverend William Hamilton, and he arrived to direct the building of the first church structure in the state of Nebraska, the building in which we sit today. It was begun in 1856 and completed in 1858. So today we also celebrate the 150th anniversary of the completion of the building in worship today. The initial structure was about 30 feet by 40 feet in size. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was about this big right here. 30 feet by 40. It's undergone several renovations since that time. The first one was in 1904 when the rest of the sanctuary was added. Let me back up. 1904, the bell tower was added. Then in 1924, in addition to the congregation and the sanctuary being expanded to the size it is today, there was a social hall built on the south edge of the building that served as a fellowship hall and classroom meeting space for members of the congregation. A couple of funny anecdotes regarding this building. Session minutes record that in 1875 they had a problem here at this building with woodpeckers. Woodpeckers were pecking at the top of the steeple. So one day in 1875, the members came and had a redhead shoot here. Much later, in the 1950s, Fran Revere tells me that occasionally the church had to be aired out because a skunk had found its way inside the crawl space underneath the sanctuary floor. We hope there's no problem with that today while we're here. In the mid-50s, this congregation decided it was time. It had grown, it was time for a new building. So they decided to move and build a new structure way up on Bellevue Boulevard. Some can figure out why they moved so far away. You know, we joke about at our current building that it was a drainage problem in the old kitchen that caused us to eventually build a new fellowship hall at our church that we enjoy today that opened a couple of years ago. Well, Fran Revere also points out that one of the reasons for the move to the new building was that this floor became infested with termites and the ladies' high heels were poking holes. This property was purchased by the Greater Nebraska Historical Foundation and was leased out to different denominations to be used for worship on Sunday mornings. And in 1972, the city of Bellevue stepped in and purchased the building, restored it, and maintains it today as a historic landmark and tourist attraction for the city of Bellevue. Our order of worship today is taken from the order of worship that was used for the laying of the cornerstone worship service in 1958. On that occasion, the church's pastor, the Reverend Silas, wrote this letter to accompany the many items that were placed inside that cornerstone box. To the people of a future generation, he wrote, greetings from our congregation who's assembled today for the laying of the cornerstone of our new Presbyterian church. It's a beautiful day, and all nature speaks of God's glory. We've tried to make this service symbolic of the past, the present, and the future. If this building exceeds the life of our present building, we're aware of the fact that when you release the contents of the box in this stone, all of us present today will have departed this earthly life. As we have tried to remember our indebtedness to the past, we hope we will not forget the past, but not be bound by it. Scientifically, our world is changing very rapidly. The changes that have taken place in the 25 years of my ministry are almost beyond comprehension. One dares not predict what the future holds. As of this writing, we are on the verge of space travel, and much investigation is being made in this area. However, regardless of the physical achievements of man, his problems always remain the same. He must live with himself and his neighbors. He must always face his temptations and his failures, regardless of the age in which he lives. We trust that this new church, erected to the glory of God, may help us in future generations to be better Christians, to be stronger in our faith and more charitable of our fellow men. Thus, we will be helping to build into the framework of civilization strength that will benefit you as we were blessed by this legacy of past generations. You are fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God, built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the cornerstone. God bless you. The Reverend Silas Hankey, pastor of the First Presbyterian Church. Today we honor our heritage as Presbyterians in this community, and we pay tribute to those men and women who 50 years ago laid the foundation for who we are today. Let us worship God together. Please join me in the call to worship that is printed in your bulletin.